Bitcoin. Yeah, got a lot to say about this one too. But in this time, I want to just say a short couple little things, a little story about the way I'm thinking about things. Um, so let's start with this. Uh, Back years and years and thousands of years ago, there was basic trade and barter. And this is part of this. Hopefully, this will be encouraging and educating for people that are interested in understanding. Hey, I hear a lot about Bitcoin, and what is this stuff really happening? I don't get it. Back centuries ago, there was a lot of trade and barter. Let's say I had a cow, and I wanted to get a hammer, like a wooden hammer for somebody else, and all I had was a cow. So the other person that's involved would come to me and say, okay, you want a hammer? How much can you give me of what you have, your barter, to get this hammer? And I say, well, all I have is a cow. So they would negotiate, and maybe they would negotiate, and let's say this deal was done, and the person buying needed the hammer great enough, so he gave over his cow, and he received a hammer back. All right, so as our kind of like time evolved and things became more fluent and wanted to improve, instead of having to give over your cow and get a hammer, then we introduced the currency system, like a monetary system, which allows me to actually trade and give back and forth a specific piece of paper or a coin or something that has value that isn't coming directly from my possessions. And so instead, if I wanted that hammer, I don't have to give you my cow. I can give you an equivalent amount that hammer is worth. I could give you, let's say, 10 pence. And for 10 pence, I get the hammer, and you get, instead of you walking away with a cow that maybe you can't use or you don't know how to use it, you walk away with 10 pence, and that 10 pence gives you the ability to go and acquire and trade and buy other things. So the idea of that monetary thing was included back then, but then, and as I said, this topic can go very wide and varied. But from that system of monetary exchange for value, and instead of just trade and borrow physical for physical, you're starting to get into more of using a medium to get to an amount that you can spend. There needed to be controls and things around that. Because guess what? As nations and governments and tribes and all those things, as much as we say we may all want to, as much as we believe, and some of us believe we all want to get along, what the reality is, in my opinion, everything's competitive. I mean, tribes go against tribes, and nations want to be better than other nations, and there is no concept of let's all hold hands and sing kumbaya. We want to be better than. We as nations want to be more powerful. We want to maintain power. We want to maintain control of things. So born out of this monetary exchanging, we started finding many needs that need to be filled. And part of that was introduction of the financial systems that we have created, where not only is it a facility to allow people to trade and barter, now I've introduced a certain level of control and power, and introduced barriers to control how people trade and barter, and many rules to make sure, one, yes, to protect individuals protect the society from anarchy, and that one is a protection mechanism, but the other is a control mechanism to make sure that my particular nation or economy, my particular where I'm at, my government can flourish and have thrive, and we can benefit from the resources as a nation as a whole that we provide to others and to ourselves, and based on that we maintain sovereignty and control. And it's important for us to establish that sovereignty and control so that another nation doesn't come in and overrun us or attack us and take us over, which has happened for the last thousands of years. One nation's taken over other nations, and that's just how things have played out. It's not something that we control. When looking back at it, it's part of the nature of people. Okay, so now we have those monetary systems in place, the financial systems here, the regulations here, the powers here, but the power is in the hands of the government and the financial authorities. Bitcoin, basically the idea behind it is, how do we remove all of that control and regulation from the governments which had taken it over? How do we give that back to the people? How do we allow people to come in and go back to the old model? Because we're really reinventing the same wheel, but we're trying to do it in a digital way. We're doing it in a digital way. We give that person, the individual, a chance to go to someone else and do a trade deal without all the government and regulation involved and all those types of things. Now, so in one hand, Bitcoin, because of the digital revolution and blockchain, which I'll talk about on another one, we basically have a digital way to track how much value is associated with what I'm trying to trade in the transaction. Without trading a physical cow or a hammer, I can have a separate digital valued asset, we want to call it, that can be traded and exchanged, can be exchanged and can be utilized by the other party. So, and I see Bitcoin as kind of like the universal gift card. If you envision going into a department store and they have offer gift cards, and you can get, if you have a universal gift card, you can have value associated with that gift card and go to anywhere and spend it. So the concept of having Bitcoin is valuable because it's universal. It's not controlled by and fueling the government and nation and power and all those things around it. And it puts power back into the individual's hand so that they can choose how and who they trade with. But there is a caveat, which is why I believe the protection side of the government and the nations is very helpful from a financial perspective, because if it was a kumbaya world where everyone could hold hands and we all just get along and smile with each other and we're all trying to help each other, then Bitcoin standing on its own and having that level of exchange would be like almost like a utopian concept. The problem we have is, in my opinion, is that we're not filled with a world of innocent people. People want to take advantage of, some people want to take advantage of others, and even using Bitcoin, the same thing is there, either by finagling or finessing systems. They can get in and take value from others without earning it honestly. So that's where, summing this part up, I believe the second evolution of that governmental control, the nation's control, it will be on the rise, and it will come back, and it will constitute helping Bitcoin remain active, prevent Bitcoin from becoming an anarchy, creating anarchy and globally, and it will help to protect the consumers and users of the currency in a digital way. And it will also do double-edged sword. It will also create and keep that competition going at the governmental, regulatory, nationwide level, nation on nation, tribe on tribe, to maintain that competitive edge for what the governments need to remain sovereign and show that they demonstrate and have power. So anyway, I think we're going full circle. There's a lot to talk about here. Hope you've got at least an insight into some pieces of Bitcoin and the currency.